is going on? Happy Wednesday to you all. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Viall Files.
So friendly.
How'd I do?
Great. Last week was great, the Kaylin episode.
I thought so too.
People
liked it. She was great. Certainly it wasn't without its critics. I mean, but like so many more people,
Yeah.
I think really felt like they got to know Caitlin in a different way. And if I have ever a hope, especially when we have Bachelor alumni on, is that it's a little bit more about them. And I gotta say, we did more research on Caitlin afterwards, and
Yes.
I feel like I missed some stuff. Her mom is the first
Her grandma. First female director of the FBI in Los Angeles.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Anyways, I also come to you with the story. I've been violated.
Oh, have you?
I was informed. I know everyone's going to believe that, like, you know, we've talked about Reddit before on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to go on. I haven't been on in some time. I actually haven't been on since Ashley and I did that live show. But I do have friends and an occasional family member who reads Reddit. And they brought it to my attention that I now live with someone in my intimate building. It's a building in Venice, and there's 6 units. And I live with someone who's been spying on me.
Well, before we get to that story,
I also trimmed my balls today. Rochelle was like, "Hey, we're doing a Manscaped ad today." I'm like, ironically, I used it this morning.
and I was like, cool.
That was really great.
And then I waited for a second. And I was like, wait. Oh.
Did you get a visual?
Yes. I was like, wait.
Sorry. Listen, it's a reality.
You don't use it on your face.
Oh, no.
Solely on your...
Solely on just that whole general area.
Oh, the general.
Well,
the general.
I just try to keep it tidy and trim.
You.
And I'll be honest, before I got Manscaped, I would use my beard trimmer from time to time, and then I would put alcohol on it and I'd clean it, and it would...
Sure you did.
I would, but I'll be honest, it's kind of gross when you say it out loud to an audience of hundreds of thousands of people. But I have that problem no more. And it makes way more sense. And I will say, injury-free now.
Good for you.
So listen, if you're a guy, if you know a guy, if your boyfriend, husband, and now with the holidays coming on, do them in their under area a favor and get them Manscaped. So for 20% off and free shipping with the code VIALL at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code VIALL. Naughty or nice. This is the #1 gift on Santa's list. Hop on the trending sled today. No.
Nick's balls are their #1 customer.
That's right. Transitioning to better skin for you and your loved ones, especially maybe your kids who are going to start their second half of their school year, and the pimple or two might have revealed themselves.
Wow, I feel like we were just doing this back to school ads,
right?
And now it's holidays.
Holiday season. What better thing to give your kid the gift of clear skin and most likely more confidence?
100%.
I mean, Proactive is cutting edge, top of it. Tell us a little bit more about what they're doing, Rochelle.
Proactive MD contains adapalene, which is the newest acne-fighting innovation made available to over-the-counter consumers. So it's basically like a Retin-A. So it's extra strong and it's new for Proactive. So they're very excited about it.
They're just doing amazing things. They have been for years. They're always on the cutting edge of clear skin. So right now, for our podcast listeners, you can get an exclusive offer only available by going to proactive.com/Nick. With this exclusive podcast only offer, you will receive 4 free Proactive's on-the-go bag, which features their T-Zone oil absorber, body acne wipes, and green tea moisturizer, close to $100 value. There's also a 60-day money-back guarantee, so don't wait and go to proactive.com/Nick to get this podcast-only offer. Again, go to proactive.com/Nick to order and get clear skin for the win.
Okay, you got to tell us the story.
It's fucked up. I'm gonna be honest. I'm pissed. I feel violated. It's not cool. Reddit. I live with someone who is spying on me and going on Reddit. Apparently, everyone thinks I'm dating Demi.
Right.
I've been notified this by you.
I thought that might be true.
Why? I don't understand.
Well, you wore those matching bear costumes.
That was honestly a coincidence. We went to a party and I was.
There's no way that was a coincidence.
I swear to God, I don't care if you or anyone else believes me.
Yeah.
I was asked to go to a Halloween party.
Yeah.
I was already Pete the Pilot, so I wasn't planning on going to more than 2 Halloween parties. So listen, for all of you out there who need a last second gift, a onesie's super fucking easy. I went on Amazon. I had the choice between a bear or a dinosaur. Last year I was a pink dinosaur.
Okay.
I went with a bear.
Oh, okay.
I showed up at my friend Danny's and Demi's.
Yes.
We meet and we're both going to the party.
Yeah.
And Danny's like, oh, and Danny had a Care Bear. Total fucking coincidence. So whatever.
She saw you and was like, oh, I have that.
No, she was already planning on going. It was either that or I think Cleopatra and then her friends.
So it was a coincidence.
It was also like, even if it wasn't, Demi is a close friend. She's a dear friend. We've become very close. I care very much about her.
How close?
As close as platonic friends can be. Anyways, I mean, like, regardless. So based on this, apparently the Reddit world is abuzz.
Yeah.
Both snarking and trying to figure out if we are dating. Demi has, in fact, been to my place. As sometimes friends do, go to each other's places.
Yes.
And I was notified that there is a conversation on Reddit. And that conversation is by Venice Lurker. Hey, y'all.
Oh, wait, her name is Venice Lurker?
It's a screen name. I don't know how.
That's
they have an alias?
creepy.
Yeah, she calls herself Venice. They call herself Venice Lurker. I'm assuming it's a woman.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. I'm a pretty frequent poster on here, and I have debated posting this for a few days now, but decided I'm a coward, and I wanted a throwaway account. So apparently they're on it, right? And they have a different name, but Venice Lurker is...
Oh, because she doesn't want to be found out.
But then she's also... But like, I live with...
Yeah, but she's saying
I live in the same
lives.
condo complex as Nick. Other than me catching him filming himself doing workouts or taking constant selfies walking up. So I'm like sleuthing here, right?
Oh.
I've never had any interesting tea to share until lately. I have seen him come and go with Demi a few times now. I know they are really close friends, so honestly not sure if it's anything. But it could be, right? Anyways, figured whole mild you guys may share. So anyways, I was told about
So
this.
she didn't say anything though. She just said she saw Demi.
Someone I live with says they are spying on me. That is how I read it.
Yeah.
So anyways, the next day being first I thought I'm like, who is it? And I thought to myself, I fucking know who it is.
You should tell your landlord.
Yeah, I'm going to. But I don't really, so at first I was like, I know who this is, right? I thought it was girl in apartment number 2. A girl in apartment number 2, we have a history. And that history is she's kind of a total
B.
She's a dick. She's a total dick.
She's married.
She's married. So by history, when we all moved in at relatively the same time. It was a new building renovated, so everyone kind of moved in. And I was a little nervous about it's an intimate place. It's not. There's only 6 homes, if you will, and they were all having a get together. And so I'm like, I'm gonna get to know my neighbors. And everyone's super cool. And girl in number 2 was looking at me. And I could tell she was a Bachelor fan. She's just being fucking weird. And that one type of person who is obsessed, but they don't want you to know, and they're an elitist, and they think they're really great. And she just finally was like, everyone knows who you are. And just she was just kind of a total bitch. She just was. And then her husband, kind of almost equally terrible, because you could tell he watched it, came up to me and was just like, that kind of questions like, so what do you even do now? But also wouldn't shut up for the fact that he works for Hulu. And not like it, but he talked about how he works for Hulu as if he's in the movie business. And I think he's a buyer for ads or some shit. Yeah. I don't know, but shut up about it. So anyways, she does. And and everyone in the complex kind of thinks she's a bit. She's just not friendly.
Yeah.
Every time she comes out, I'll say hi, and she just kind of awkwardly.
We're getting sidetracked though. Is it her?
I don't know. I'm just giving you the details.
What are you going to do?
So I thought it was her. And then I thought to myself, I don't know for sure. I put out a note the next morning. And the note said, "Dear Venice Lurker."
Where'd you put the note?
I put it on, kind of in the small. We have a gated area, it's a little community,
common area.
Yeah,
okay.
And so I put two notes. One on the below the mailbox, and now I was
2 notes.
It said the same thing. It said, "Dear Venice Lurker." please stop spying on me and violating my privacy.
Yes.
And I didn't sign it, but I figured like everyone's gonna figure out it's me.
Yeah.
And so I put one in like kind of on one side of the unit, and the other one I put below on the mailbox.
Yeah.
And I put it deliberately between 2 and 3 because I was certain it's either between the girl who lives in 2 and the girl who lives in 3. And then there's a new girl who moved in to 4.
How long has she been there?
Like a month. Now,
Could be her.
Last night I had drinks with some of the people I know it's not.
Yeah.
And like a game of Clue.
I was just going to say, this feels like Clue.
It was number 2 with the iPad in her living room. Like all jokes aside, like was super pissed. And thank God a lot of my neighbors who now, like, they're all like, everyone's figuring out. It's like this little like drama in the community because, and we're all like, everyone knows it's between 3 girls. And I know these 3 girls, they all assume that I think it might be them.
Let's bring them all in for interrogations and figure out which
last night we were all trying to figure out how do we suss this out.
Tell them
my neighbors are all
to
fucking
come on
pissed.
the podcast.
Everyone feels like violated because it's like they
in LA you should feel safe.
They sympathize with me, but they also, even to their point, they're just like, now we just live with someone who's kind of a nosy spy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's where I live, you know? Like I have the right to like hang out with friends or whatever. They're convinced it's the new girl. I'm not so convinced.
What's her profile?
What do you mean?
Like, give us a break.
She's been nothing but pleasant to me.
What?
She's super nice. She has this weird living situation. She has like what I thought assumed is her boyfriend or husband, but no one really knows for sure. And then the girl in 3, she has a bit of an accent, little British accent, and apparently there were some things in the note, on a second note, because the people I lived with, I told them about it, so they went on, and I guess there's more conversations from Venice Lurker. They're like
deep diving.
Like the guy in 1 and the guy in 6, they're kind of like into this.
Oh, so they're probably like, oh my God, such a crazy story. By the way, what apartment do you live in?
So they went and they did some more recon, and we're all like last night having drinks, being like, okay, well they said this, and this sounds like this person. And then like
you should lay a trap.
Their figure out line of sight.
Lay a trap that only one.
The
would
girl
know.
from 1 came out. Like I'm working out yesterday morning. The girl from 1 came out, and she's like, hey, did you leave this note? And at first I'm like, is she deflecting? It was incredible performance. If it is her, incredible performance.
It is LA. She could be an actress.
She's not, but if I was guilty and didn't want them to know, it's something I would probably do, being like, hey, how did you do this? What's going on? Great performance, but she is nosy. So it's between
three. You have 3 options.
There's 3 options, and at this point, it could be.
What's the girl in 1 like?
The girl in 1 she's a little nosy, but she's a little nutty, but nice.
Nutty, okay.
A little nice, but nosy. You know, and I don't
single.
Nope, she's married.
Married.
I want it to
age.
I don't know. They're all probably in their late 20s, early 30s. I don't know.
My money's on the new girl.
Why?
That's just my gut. I follow my gut.
I didn't think it was the new girl because it implies in this note that they've been watching me for some time. And like what I explained to my neighbors is like, well, we've all been here for 18 months and this hasn't happened yet. And I said, fair, but this is the first time we've caught them because this tea was so, and everyone apparently recently, regardless if you've lived in this place for a while, recently people have been wondering if I'm dating Demi. Right. And only recently Demi has come to my place for the first time.
Right.
So there was no tea to spill. And I don't have bachelor friends come over very often.
Yes.
I don't hang out with
the case of the Venice Lurker is still open. Please keep us updated.
I feel violated. I'm want to figure it out.
I'm sorry you felt that way. That's not fun.
I deliberately told it on this podcast because now they're inevitably going to talk about it on Reddit, I'm sure.
Well, we'll see.
And I do know that whoever did it knows I know and wonders. And I'm going to find out.
Oh, I bet you will. But our guest today is fabulous. Just had a baby, brought a newborn baby into the studio. I was like, that is a badass.
Had a very fascinating birthing story.
Crazy story.
I had a lot of fun talking to her. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest.
She's very
lovely,
down to earth,
very chill,
open.
You would think maybe, given like she was like a Disney star and friends with Ariana Grande, and you kind of would like you might presume this person could be slightly not down to earth,
right?
But totally down to earth.
Yeah,
lovely,
sweet.
Lovely partner. Not married.
Yeah. And you got to just keep listening for this crazy birth story.
Just a great time. Yeah. Another fun, easy listen. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. This is a cool setup.
I know it wasn't as easy for you to get here. For those of you who don't know, Daniela just had her first child. Just not too long ago.
Just came on out of me.
I will never know what that's like.
Nope.
But we do have a lot of listeners here who are women.
Mm-hmm.
Some of which are moms, some of which are maybe hopeful to be moms. And I thought it might just be a fun conversation to get the perspective of a newborn or someone who has a newborn.
I feel like a newborn myself.
You do.
I want to crawl into a fetal position and cry.
I guess let's just start right into that, and then we'll kind of backtrack. We'll do this like Pulp Fiction style. We'll in terms of, but
Sure.
Let's just get right into what has it been like.
Oh wow.
To be a new mother, only a few weeks in.
Yeah. Postpartum is real. It's like, I actually had a very unique birth experience, very
How
different
so?
than I originally. First of all, my 9 months of pregnancy were absolute bliss. So I'm so lucky to be able to say that and mean it, because a lot of people in my life had, just either complications or were sick or just didn't love being, massive. And I just was like, this is cool.
And that can vary, right?
Very.
And it's all just,
Yeah.
but you had
I had a great
good
experience. I got really lucky. I worked out my entire pregnancy up until literally the day prior to giving birth.
Wow.
Yeah, I like felt myself. I got really lucky. I slept well. All the rules were broken in terms of my pregnancy. And so I thought, you know what? I want to do this the way that I want to do this. I want to have like a natural birth. We were going to do it at home originally. And then in my 8th month of pregnancy, we decided to renovate basically the entire house. Don't know why.
Oh my God.
I guess I took that whole nesting thing to the 100th degree, where I was like, rip it all out, start fresh. The king is coming. And then realized, no, we can't have a baby in this house. We have 2 pit bulls and no bathroom. So, so then we decided to do it at a birth center.
Okay.
With a midwife.
Backtracking for a second,
sure.
just so because I'm a guy and I don't know, and for the women who haven't had babies, one's ability to work out when they're pregnant, that also just varies on how the pregnancy goes. I mean, I know it's probably maybe recommended ideally, but some people may not even have the luxury of doing that. I mean, is that true? I don't know.
Of course. If you're a high risk pregnancy, a lot of those decisions are kind of made up for you, and you have to be in a hospital for certain reasons. But because I had such a healthy, normal experience, I wanted to do it that way. I wanted to do it all natural, no drugs. I wanted to create the atmosphere. I was all excited about the candles and the music and the crystals and having this experience. And wow, it did not go that way.
So you had this big plan,
Yeah.
and then at 8 months into pregnancy, you guys decided to remodel.
Sure did.
When did you decide to remodel for the sake of the birth, which totally backfired, or was it completely separate? And then you're like, what? How? Why did we do that? Or...
Yeah, completely separate. It was more or less just us thinking ahead, once we have him, we're probably not going to want to do this then.
Interesting.
So let's try and get it all done prior to the baby coming.
You say we.
My fiance.
Your fiance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, baby daddy.
Baby daddy.
Yeah, he's upgraded.
You're not married.
Not married.
Okay, we'll dive in that. We're bouncing all over the place. All right. So you at birthing center. At what point were you like, okay, I guess what is a birthing center versus a hospital? What's the difference?
In reality, it's basically like a hotel room, essentially. There's a bed and a tub, and that's about it. And then you have your midwife, and she has some nursing staff underneath her. But there's really nothing more to the birthing center that we were working with. It was just a bed and a tub and you.
Did you enjoy that experience?
I did not have that experience.
You didn't go to the birthing center?
I never made it to the birthing center.
What happened? Were you like my friend Jade who had a kid in her closet?
Oh, gosh.
Did you hear
wouldn't
about
that?
that?
Been nice.
Are you
Of course
familiar?
I heard.
Yeah.
Of course. Come on. I'm part of Bachelor Nation over here.
What happened?
So Friday, the 27th of September, I was in a little bit of a fender bender.
While you're pregnant?
Yeah. So I had just gotten back from the gym. I was going to get my smoothie, normal thing, whatever, pull into a parking lot, and I'm stuck in between a couple cars looking for a spot to park. And this guy just backed right into my driver's side door. And so I look over and I see it coming towards me, which is the most terrifying feeling. So you're just like, there's a car coming right at my face. And I screamed really loud and went into a little bit of shock afterwards, and kind of just everything that happened after that happened very quickly. I realized, I'm supposed to give birth in a few days. I need to get this car seat in a safe car. My door doesn't close. So I ran and got a rental car, dropped my car off at the collision place, put in my claim, and then that night my water broke. So he was, within reason. We were 9 months pregnant at that time, but he was definitely a week or less early. My water broke, and the color of the fluids. Ready for this one?
No, I don't want to know.
I'm not gonna get too disgusting, but
go for it. Whatever.
Listen, this is I'm gonna paint the picture because no one can really see us at this point. So okay,
can I guess?
Sure.
Blue. I'm just kidding.
Well, I would either guess first red.
Okay.
Because that obviously
Sure.
blood,
red.
Sure.
right? Or green.
Oh my gosh, you're dead on. Green.
Green? No.
I mean,
No, it was green.
It's not good.
It's not good, apparently. I sat in my closet.
Well, I was thinking worst case. What would green mean? Like shit
Not
is
good.
like rotten or dying
not
or diseased?
Good. So my water broke, and believe it or not, I knew it, got out of bed. My fiance woke up and I said, don't worry, my water broke, go back to bed. I went into the closet and I got on my phone and I Googled, what does this green fluid mean?
You're
and there
giving
was
birth to an alien.
not a lot of information, which is shocking because I was thinking, well, who am I to have green fluid? No one else seems to relate. So I texted my midwife and she was worried very quickly and, basically said you need to like naturally induce yourself. So as morning came.
Wait. This is a big problem. You need to play doctor.
Yes.
That was okay.
Well, because we were still trying to take this natural approach. I mean, that's sort of like the midwife's job, essentially. You're paying for her to like stay on track with your plan.
But question, in a moment of concern.
Sure.
What was the concern?
The concern was, and she didn't really explain this to me full out, but she basically alluded to the fact that the baby was under stress and that something happened that triggered him to poop in his womb.
Which is real bad.
Yeah, which is not good, like toxic. And
I
I'm
didn't
assuming the accident,
realize
obviously
how bad that was, but
really
it was bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah. And I've heard since then what could have happened. Anyway, so the next morning we went and got castor oil. I'm chugging castor oil, which literally tastes like lip gloss.
No.
Uh-huh.
But why not, just out of curiosity, not like, let's go to the hospital?
I literally would have had it been like recommended at the time, but she was like, we're going to get through this. You're going to have this baby. We're good.
My mom's a neonatal nurse practitioner, so this is like hard for me to hear.
Oh, I realized that.
There's so many opinions.
Sure.
That's why I asked. I have 10 siblings. My mom, her last 3 kids she had at home with a midwife, and truly loved the experience compared to like the intimacy of being at home, et cetera, et cetera. At the same time, there's sometimes a reason why we do need to go to the hospital. But so, all right, at the time, just you're chugging castor oil.
Yes.
All right, and now go from there.
Nothing happened. And she said, it's going to take like 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours before you start like major contractions. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for a walk. I did the whole curbing thing. If nobody knows what curbing is, it's like you go up and down the stair at an angle. So I'm walking through the neighborhood, like one foot up on the stair.
I would have guessed it was some sort of sexual reference
right.
if we weren't
fun.
Talking about giving birth. But anyway, so you're literally curbing. You're doing exactly as if it sounds.
Sure. And nothing is happening. I'm on a birthing ball. Nothing's happening. So eventually I send her more pictures of the fluid and she's like, it's getting greener. You need to go to a hospital right now.
Okay, good.
And that's when things got a little more exciting because we had 2 choices. We could go to Cedars where she doesn't have delivery rights, or we could go to Whittier and have her deliver the baby.
It's very far. Whittier.
She's dying over here.
It's far.
Rochelle just
I don't
took
know
her
where Whittier
glasses
is.
off. I didn't either, Nick. And now I do.
And you went there because
She has delivery rights there. She'd seen me like the majority of my pregnancy. And I just felt like, from what I've heard about Cedars, great hospital, but just there's a lot of people, a lot of doctors, and a lot of births on the regular. And I just thought, no one's going to have a relationship with me. I'm going to walk in there and going to be like, cool, put her in a room. We're going to pop that kid out. And there's going to be no like, I don't know.
okay,
care.
I have a question I have to ask. I want to be respectful of everyone
Please.
listening, everyone in the room.
Yes.
There's opinions
People
of
are
race.
cringing.
Right. No, I mean, clearly, I can only imagine the people listening, a litany of opinions.
Yeah.
At the time, at what point is there if you need to go to the hospital, why aren't we going to the quickest hospital versus hindsight being 2020?
Yeah.
Where you sit now?
Yeah.
Would you have done anything differently?
So,
I mean, everything's fine,
sure,
right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll get there. Thank
Okay.
God. But no, I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have done something a little more convenient because that ride was a little traumatic. I couldn't really feel him moving in me, which is a very bad sign. And I was just trying to be patient. I think we're just trying to be smart, but
Did you hear she wanted the midwife to deliver the baby?
No, I get that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean
Yeah.
to ask. And so,
Yeah.
like, she's like, I don't have birthing rights there. And I'm thinking,
I know.
what's the priority here?
I know.
But
I know.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm just asking.
No, but it's a fair question because knowing what I know now about how extreme the situation was, I don't think we would have driven to.
That was
Whittier.
kind of my question. Would
Yeah.
you have done things
We would have done
differently?
things differently. We would've.
And again, my mom loved the experience.
Yeah.
She didn't have green coming out
Yeah,
of her.
thank
And
God.
so I think it's an interesting, and so you ended up having a C-section as you.
Well,
So we get to the hospital and I go into extreme labor because
What's
the
that
castor oil kicked in. So I'm
What's
laying
extreme
there.
labor?
It was just like
Other
it was
than-
like 0 to 100 real quick.
Okay.
Like we started with some contractions. They're like, "You're having them," and I was like, "Really? Oh, I felt like I'm having a period. This is nothing."
And this is
then
because you chugged
very
a gallon of
quickly,
castor
yeah,
oil.
I chugged so much castor oil. It hit me like
How's
a
your hair, by
ton
the way?
of bricks. I am oily from the inside out.
I mean, castor oil is good for your hair, apparently.
And other things. If you ever have issues going to the restroom, apparently.
oh no.
Yeah. So
So
fun
you're regular.
times. No, actually. This is another fun story with C-sections. God almighty, it's great, you guys. Honestly, babies are incredible miracles. So yeah, I'm in extreme labor for 4 hours. No one could handle it. My family and my fiance were just like really in agony watching me. And I didn't want to do drugs. And that was, my ego got in the way for a little while. I thought like what meant to be strong was to do it, as naturally and as safely for the baby as possible. And in reality, like I kind of had to give up control. They didn't like that my heart rate was skyrocketing. His heart rate was dropping. He had the cord wrapped around his neck. So that was a little much as well. And so eventually they gave me an epidural to calm me down in hopes that I would open up. Nothing happened. And then they said, if nothing happens in the next 30 minutes, you have to have an emergency C-section. And that's exactly what happened. The doctor was there on the 30 he literally walked in and was like, here's your hat and here's your gown, and rolled me in within seconds. And I think in the next 15 minutes he was born.
How are you feeling at that?
It was, you know what? I felt so safe. And let me tell you, I've been vegan for 20 years, okay? I don't think I've ever ingested medication. I've never really done drugs. I don't really drink. I'm pretty much as natural as it gets. I walked into that hospital like someone who hasn't been to church in their entire life and just was like, I'm not supposed to be here. You guys don't like me. And I really want you to take care of me and my baby. Can you help?
Why do you feel that way? What does it mean in terms of I don't know what it memeans to be vegan. I know,
Yeah.
again, my sister's a holistic nutritionist, and I don't want to get into the whole Western medicine versus Eastern medicine, but does it have to be mutually exclusive in terms of trying to be as all natural as possible and not thinking as doctors and hospitals as some sort of negative thing?
Yeah.
In a way that can help.
No, I think that I was lucky and fortunate enough that I've been healthy and I've never had to utilize those resources. But I, by all means, look at it completely differently now. I really feel like they saved my baby's life, and I'm indebted to, and I had a great experience in terms of a hospital experience. Granted, I'm terrified of needles and I have a little bit of nerve damage in my hand, but aside from that, in reality, all of it was a relatively quick and easy experience, and they took really good care of us, and they acted incredibly fast, and that's all that mattered.
I mean, I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm glad you're able to now talk about it. And it's interesting because I think it's such an interesting story. So much can be taken from that experience in terms of expectations versus reality, being able to adjust your expectations given circumstances, having a different perspective about things, especially if it's counter to literally your entire adult life. And even before that, I mean, you're 30?
30, yeah. So
since you were 10, you were a vegan? You're literally entire life.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's so much can be taken away from that.
Noom.
I love Noom. What's your favorite
Noom is helping people lose weight in a healthy way by getting great habits.
Great habits, a lot of information, accessible right on your phone.
All you have to do is spend about 10 minutes on your phone a day.
Shavings make a pile.
Yeah.
A little bit goes a long way, especially over time.
Yeah.
And there's so many different styles of eating and diets. What's best for you? It can vary. Everyone's different in how they eat. So, and
just the act for me of typing in what I'm eating every day and having to look at it and being like, yes, I ate that, and it's really easy to put your food in and keep track of it. That has been the most effective for me.
And if you are trying to get in shape, what you eat plays such a role. I mean, you can work out like crazy and just get nowhere fast if you don't eat properly. And again, everyone is different, and it's just a great source of information.
It's a new year. Come on, people.
Yeah, let Noom help you out. You don't have to do it all in one day. No, small steps make big progress. Sign up for your trial today at Noom, noom.com/VIALL. What do you have to lose? Visit noom.com/VIALL to start your trial today. That's noom.com/VIALL. The last weight loss program you'll need. Next time you get pregnant, if you decide you want to get pregnant, what do you think? Would you still want to go back to the original plan and hope that you don't get in a car accident day before, or were you just going to go full hospital? What would you do as you sit here now?
Yeah. I think where I stand now is I would probably go through with a C-section. Again,
is a first option?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And do some people do that? I honestly don't know that.
They say that if you've had a C-section once, it's pretty hard to give a natural birth afterwards.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible,
Why is
but
that?
not.
I'm not a doctor.
They just say, it's kind of like you can, but I feel like given the experience I had and the fact that I didn't dilate with the castor oil and the epidural and everything else, it just, to me, I don't even want to risk it. I want a healthy baby, and I think I have to just put my, agenda aside and rely on medicine.
When you say agenda, I thought it's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, like I said, I wanted this experience. I thought that we could do it exactly as I had planned. And I was open to the idea of things going wrong. But based on my pregnancy being as healthy and easy as it was, I just didn't think that I was going to veer off so quickly and so extreme. Some people say, well, yeah, my baby's cord was wrapped around their head. You kind of don't get it all. I had the meconium. I had, his heart rate almost nearly flatlining at one point, the cord wrapped around the head, and then to end up in a C-section. So it was kind of all of it at once. I think at this point I would just probably skip to the end.
Interesting. Do you think this whole? I mean, this is such a traumatic and defining experience, and I feel like there's so many layers of things that could change you as a person.
Oh, changed forever.
How do you think you will be as a mother now, having had this happen, versus what type of mother you would have been? I'm sure a great mother, regardless.
Sure.
Had it gone the way you had planned originally.
I feel like my partner and I really earned him It was an experience that brought us so close together, and it makes me look at him and my baby in a totally different light. Like we are so present, and I don't know. I think it is different.
Because you strike me as someone prior to this experience as someone who's very goal oriented, knows what she wants, is able to go after it, has an identity in some of the things that you do. You're
I
very
love
proud
when you
of
do
it.
this, by the way. When I listen to his show and he like starts to diagnose people, it makes me so excited. I'm like, wow, you are so dead on.
Is that all accurate?
Yeah, very.
And I feel like this experience would loosen all that up, so to speak. If you were like a person who is like this kind of very put together, everything, and it looks really good. It's just really nice. I feel like this experience is kind of like put it all in a bag and shook it up a little bit. And then you almost kind of have to put it back together somewhat.
Yeah.
And it's not going to go back together exactly the way it was before. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing.
I mean, the first week I was like, don't worry about the dishes, not like me. Okay. I know that's a small example, but I was like, don't even worry about the dishes. Don't even look at them. Let them pile up. I don't care. And then another thing is like, we always wipe the shower doors when we're done. No, I'm not going to wipe the shower doors. You could leave those water spots all day long. Little things like that, laundry piled up. I just was so focused on like being present and not caring about the things that I thought mattered. The first thing I said was like, my priorities have shifted so much. You know, I used to be the kind of person that woke up and set my own schedule. I'm kind of like self-employed right now. So it's like, I really had to be on my game and, you know, get my emails done, make my phone calls. Like, it's a different world now. Like, it is a completely different world, and things that I thought mattered just don't as much anymore.
I mean, that's really fascinating how this one experience, and thank God, obviously, everything worked out. But I mean, you know how people joke about like helicopter moms or soccer moms or the overbearing. And again, being like, my parents talk about how, you know, they have 11 kids. And how they parent versus like the first couple versus now, like every parent, and I get it, right? It's your first kid. It's like, oh my God, I gave life to this thing and I don't want to fuck it up. And you're just like, ugh, everything is so like intense and meaningful and you're just so hands-on.
Yeah.
And yet this even experience, having being a first-time mother, that alone has made me like, does this moment matter?
Yeah.
Like in this moment, are we fine? Like, is everybody fine? Because you've already faced literally a potential life or death situation with your child, and thank God everything worked out. And it really comes down to like, is this life or death, and are we fine? And it's such a fascinating thing to experience. You know,
it sure is. And it didn't just change me; it changed Andrew, my fiance. Like, we had to look at things so differently. For so many years, he's worked so hard in industries that just didn't like feed his soul, and I don't relate to that because I've always been lucky enough to like follow my own dreams and kind of like run my own show essentially. And it forced us to like have those bigger conversations. Like, what is life? Like, we are grown-ups and we have responsibilities, but in reality, like, who are we living for and why are we doing the things that we do, and can we do it differently?
That's really interesting. So now let's backtrack. We've talked about the past. So you are engaged.
Yeah.
And you have a child.
Yeah.
So you're not married.
Not married.
That's someone who is the planner that you were. And you strike me as someone who, at an early age, you know, young 16-year-old Daniela had like sheep. I bet you there's a book out there that you've made about how my life's going to play out. Did you imagine?
There's a list or two.
Did you imagine you'd get pregnant from someone you weren't married by?
Absolutely.
You thought you would?
Yeah.
That was part of your plan?
That was part of my plan.
Great.
Did I surprise you?
Yes. I think that's great, but I'm curious as to why. I think it's fine either way.
Why?
But what made you go,
yeah,
I want to do this?
Yeah. I always knew that I wanted kids. I never, in a weird way, I always saw myself with kids. I didn't know that I was going to ever be with someone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always thought it was challenging. I worked as a child actor, teen actor, adult actor, and I didn't really always have like the same experiences people my age did. I didn't go to high school, college, things like that, where you kind of like mold into that person who has experiences, dates, and so on and so forth. And so it wasn't really a priority of mine. I was really focused on like working. And so I kind of always put dating and stuff like that to the side, dabbled, but not enough for me to like really, have too many experiences. So for me, I was like, I'm going to be a mom, but I don't know about the rest. And
that's interesting. I'm kind of like that now.
Yeah.
But like, it's
yeah,
like
I
you
can see that.
were like that at an early age.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm more like that now. It's like I'm open to it, but like I just want to have a kid.
Yeah.
I want, well, not a kid, but
sure.
I mean, and again, ideally, I will have like with a partner, but it's more about prioritizing. We've talked about this before. Like, that's the one. And before, like when I was younger, it was like, no, I want to have a date and then getting engaged and then have a wedding in a church and then we'll have kids. Now
so you've kind of changed your tune a little bit, because I feel like I've heard you talk about like how in your family or it's more traditional.
Yes, my family is traditional. We've become less traditional, but it's still traditional.
Yeah.
There's 11 kids. I grew up around priests and nuns, and we said the rosary as a family. We had priests come to our house for confession.
Oh my goodness.
And again, I've talked about this before, but within that very dogmatic and very strict Catholic household, my parents were also chill and open-minded and understanding, and they've become far more progressive.
Awesome.
If you look at, again, my brothers and sisters and their life choices, if you would have told my parents what their kids would be, and nothing's fine. It's all, like, no one's been married by a Catholic priest. My brother's divorced, etc. All these things that would be like, oh my God, our kids are going to burn in hell. It's all fine.
Yeah.
Everyone's fine. But that's interesting that at an early age that you do you think that's as a result of growing up? You grew up in LA?
Yeah, I did.
And certainly less traditional than the kind of a Midwest upbringing I had. Do you think that played a role into it?
Not necessarily, because my family was a little similar to yours. I'm Catholic, Italian,
Oh, you're Italian.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So you know how it is. Like my grandma
Italians are very traditional.
Very traditional. And still to this day. Okay, so you get it. Yes. Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Very, very traditional.
Yes. And I so hear her on a lot of those things, because I'm like, I get it. My family was always very, not necessarily pushy, but definitely instilled those values and reinforced them throughout the years, but they weren't strong enough for me to
Did you feel a lot of guilt from your family growing up if you didn't abide by tradition?
I don't know what is wrong with me. I feel like I sound like quite the rebel, but it didn't really like land with me too much. Okay. It just didn't. I knew in my heart, like, I was a good person and that I was going to make good choices, and I didn't need to follow their rules or whatever I felt like they lived by.
Wow. So okay, you didn't need to be married, and then you met.
Yeah, I met Andrew. Yeah, this was about almost 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
You've been dating for 9 years.
Yeah.
When did you get engaged?
About 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago.
And is this length of time because is it just mutual? You guys just kind of slow burn, not in a rush? Like it's unique that you guys been together for so long, but at the same time you could argue, well, yeah, we love each other. We met at such an early age. Why are we in a rush? You could argue it's a very healthy approach to meeting young.
Sure. Yeah. I didn't realize how young I was at the time. Now looking back, I'm like, wow, this is right. You're
because
like, wow.
This is the oldest I've ever been.
Yeah, this is the oldest I've ever been, turns out. Yeah.
Every age. I'm 21. I'm super old. I've never been 21 before.
So
no one realizes they're young.
Yeah, that's so true. And I thought I had it all figured out. I am so different than I was even just 2 years ago, let alone 9 years ago. So no, we both came from, broken families, actually. So we had very similar situations, family dynamics. And I think when we both spoke about like what the future looked like for us, marriage didn't need to be a part of it. And it wasn't something we put pressure on because we didn't really see a really good example of a healthy marriage. And I didn't think that was what made you a successful relationship.
Interesting. What made you guys want to get engaged then? Why'd you go from, we love each other, we don't need this. And again, like, if you asked me right now, do I want to get married? I'd say sure.
Right.
But it's not like
it's not a hard yes.
I have to. It's more about meeting the right person. And if she really wants to, great. But if she also was like, for some reason, didn't want to, I'd be like, but do you want to be like, are we committed to each other?
Yeah.
What changed though? Something,
Sure.
You guys were in this, like, we don't need to be married, but we love each other.
I hate to say this because it's not usually who I am, but I did have a social pressure put on me by other people and family and friends, and the people of my circle of friends were all sort of accelerating very quickly. And we were actually, and even to be in LA in our young or late 20s, early 30s, to not have kids, my friends actually were already on that track, like first kid, second kid. Now some of them are on their third kids. So we were feeling a little bit of those pressures. And I knew for a fact that marriage wasn't totally on the table, and not like I said, no pressure put on that. But being that I've grown up a role model for a lot of kids, I thought that making a commitment that sort of met those like social standards was important.
That's so much pressure.
It is a lot of pressure.
And also, like, you have a large following.
Yeah.
Did you feel pressure from them?
I did.
And the responsibility you maybe felt like you had, or being not judged or judged by them?
Yeah, I did. I'm not gonna lie, I did. I really care about being like what I call like a big sister figure, because I've played a big sister on TV for so many years, and I felt like people looked up to me and also to our relationship, and I've been pretty transparent throughout everything. I mean, thick or thin, highs and lows. So getting engaged in a weird way, like it was so exciting. I'm not gonna lie. I did not think that I was going to feel the way that I felt when it happened. I didn't see it coming, but it had been something we talked about. But I think a good percentage of that did come from a little bit of like the social pressures. Yeah.
It's interesting hearing your story, because first you explained why maybe you didn't want to be traditional and get engaged. And one could argue maybe it was a projection of your upbringing and kind of like, well, I experienced this kind of broken home. And so you're kind of going against the grain there. Only to like feel the pressure from another side to do it. As it turns out, it felt right, and it was a great experience.
It was magical.
Did you learn from that in terms of like not projecting one way or the other, and maybe just doing what feels right in the moment?
Totally.
It seemed to have so far all worked out, but it's very honest of you to admit maybe what the genesis of the decision-making skills, that the decisions were.
Yeah. I think I've definitely become more open to all of it. I mean, I'm someone who is a complete hopeless romantic. I go to weddings, and before anyone even speaks, I'm crying. So I am 100% in love with the idea of love. I just try to loosely define that. So if at some point we decide that we want to just get hitched and have this experience, like by all means, I'm not going to stand in my own way, but it's just not something we put a lot of pressure on. I want everything to feel very like fluid and organic.
What's your favorite moment at a wedding?
Oh gosh. I mean, obviously I love to look at the guy's face when the woman walks down. Or the guy walks down, or the woman walks down and the woman's standing there.
Definitely for me, when the doors open and the big reveal.
You look at the bride?
You look back?
If I'm being honest, the weddings I've been to, that's a very emotional moment. I always get choked up. And I'm not looking at him, I'm looking at her. And like I walk down, I'm like, every time I'm just like, oh, fuck. Like, she's like biting my inner lip. I'm like, oh, don't be a pussy.
No, you're not
I guess you're usually on the groomsman, so you can see her. Yeah. You've been a lot of grooms.
You've been a lot of groomsmen.
Yeah, I've also just been in the pews and stuff. But
do you ever look back at the guy after, or does it not register to look back? Because that part is pretty special. Depending on the human.
But I always remember that, like, if I had to pick a favorite moment for a wedding, it would be that that everyone walks in, the people in the ready party, and then like it's just that moment, and people stand up, and it's just like, she's really doing it.
Oh no!
Not in a bad way. It's just like a really heartfelt moment, and it's kind of like the assumption is everyone's happy in that moment. The lead up to that. So I guess
they're pretty magical. Weddings are just something that you can't really put your finger on.
Have you guys set a date?
No. After that whole conversation. No, we haven't.
You haven't.
But
do you
enough,
feel pressure that you haven't? You don't?
No, not at all. In fact, I actually feel so much more confident where we are.
Do you get asked that a lot?
Yeah,
I mean, I've been engaged twice, and one before the show, one obviously with Vanessa that people know about. I never... Vanessa's was obviously so unique because obviously it was from the show and the feelings were always real, but I think Vanessa and I would both agree that had we not met in the show, we wouldn't have been engaged in 8 weeks. I mean, I'm fine with saying that. And the first one was again very immature. I've never said a date.
Okay.
I've been engaged twice. I've never planned a wedding.
Okay.
But you get asked, if you're engaged, have you set a date? And it's always like, every time someone asks me if I've set a date in the brief times I was engaged, it was like, no, why should I? I don't know. I felt so judged. And I'm curious if you get asked that a lot, not only by your friends and family, but the people who follow you.
Oh, yeah. And it's so funny because I feel like my friends and family get it finally. Like it's been long enough and I've had to say it a few times, but they get it. It's actually the people who follow me that I want to set the record straight for, that I want to be really like clear and concise about like, this is not a reflection of our relationship. You know, we are so in this and more than ever, you know, and feel so proud of what we've accomplished and in who we are together. But the marriage piece is a separate thought that I feel like a lot of people, they want to almost like discount what you have based on the fact that you're not like a complete entity together, like you're not married. Mm-hmm. So that piece it's kind of just like rebuilding the stigma, but I have no problem, you know, speaking up about it.
That can be tough to do. I mean, again, sometimes even when we give advice on this show, people will ask, well, I've been together with a guy for 4 years, and if someone asked me why, I would be like, well, explain the situation to me, you know, and everyone is different. For you guys are saying mutually, that's not a huge deal for us, so that's not a problem. And so it's just kind of interesting in that situation. Everything's different. Yeah. I mean, you guys have been together for so long. I always get asked questions in terms of for young couples who have met early. They have met in their early 20s. They stay together. Did you guys ever break up?
No.
You've never broken up. All right, so you've never broken up.
We've had moments that have been hard or challenging.
You seem, I don't know you very well. I met Andrew briefly when he's now
Andrew's here,
being watchful, holding the child. You seem like a young, hot, fun couple. So the spice is still there. Yeah. How have you guys been able to do that in what has been a very long relationship?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, but I am the kind of person that when I did date, I was very quick to get in and out of things. I never boyfriended anyone, ever. I was always the person that dated for maybe...
You never wanted to define it.
Never. I was so much more of like, I'll go out on a date and, you know, we can like maybe hook up, but I'm like not in this. Like,
when you say maybe hook up.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
My fiance's in the other room. I'll have a good time, but no one was ever like on that level for me, at least. And I hate to even admit this because I feel really guilty about it, but I wasn't the best person to date back then. I just felt like I just kind of like got in, got out, was like, sorry, it's not you, it's me.
Why do you think you weren't, I mean, you're like 21, 22 at this point? Yeah. Why do you mean that you weren't the best person to date?
I don't know. I just wasn't like,
maybe you weren't the best person to be in a relationship with.
More or less that. Yeah. I think I just was more concerned with, you know, my lifestyle and work and didn't consider people's feelings as much. I'm a much better communicator now.
When you say don't consider people's feelings, so take me back to the people you were dating, and then maybe you were intimate, maybe you weren't. Yeah. Would you lie about your feelings about?
No. I was like the kind of person, you know, when it's like new, you're flirty, you're dating, you're cute, it's all fun and dandy, you're back and forth, and then out of nowhere, I just ghost.
You would ghost?
Yeah, I would usually just ghost. That was my go-to.
You were ghosting before it was even like
I was a ghoster before it was a thing.
Yeah, 8 years ago. Yeah. I don't know if ghosting was as possible.
Yep, I just ghosted.
You would just, and they would be like, hey, what's up? And
you'd go dark. I know. But that was then.
I mean, listen, it's good that you know.
Yeah.
It's good that you know. What was so special about Andrew that made you go, this is the guy I'm not going to ghost? I want to define kind of the relationship.
Sure. So we were set up by a friend, a friend who I was, like close with, but wasn't as nearly close as you would think. I mean, she nailed it when she introduced us, but he was just different. He's very smart and logical. He's not from LA. He's from up north. And I swear to you, Northern California, pretty much anywhere outside of LA, there's a different breed of human out there that's really awesome. And I just was so attracted to like his personality and his like calming demeanor and not trying to be the life of the party or the person that stood out in the room. And that's not as common out here. A lot of people are trying to prove themselves. And, I'm like 1 foot in the entertainment industry and 1 foot very much out. So for me, he spoke to like my roots and like my core and just that realism.
That's awesome. Was he someone who also didn't feel the stress of defining a relationship?
Yeah. And I don't think we really knew that until we were a little further in and realized like, I'm not really putting pressure on anything. You're not really putting pressure on anything. Like, where do we lie? Like, what is important to us?
I just feel like, just hearing your story, it would make sense to me that you were maybe the first one to even bring it up versus him. And before it was every other guy was like, what are we? You're hot. I like you. And he was like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it was a different take for him.
What's going on?
Yeah, he actually had that conversation a couple times where he was like, is this a reflection of me? Like, is there something wrong? And I'm like, absolutely not. This is me saying, let's not like taint what we have. This is so great.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You find someone who kind of balances you out and helps you not feel the need to kind of project some of your insecurities. And it seems like you guys have a good match that way. That's fun. What are some of like, again, just keeping it spicy and hot for long-term relationships? Some people, I know we give a lot of people who are young, who are in relationships, that keeping it fresh and hot is a question we get a lot, and that I get a lot in terms of people in relationships, whether it's their sex life, whether it's on a day-to-day basis. What are the things that you guys do?
Gosh, that's a great question, because
just had a baby.
Paper, so. Which is god,
I know.
Or even now. That was another thing I didn't really pay attention to in the hospital. They're like, you can't drive and you also can't have sex for 6 weeks. I didn't hear either of those two things.
TMI.
So you were trying the
I
next
heard
day?
neither of those.
What about during the pregnancy? Were you guys still hooking up?
Yeah, we were. It was so annoying towards the end. I'm not gonna lie. It was just like
annoying.
Who initiated it more?
I don't know. I feel like I was doing that just to feel like a human being again.
Like,
but
I
then
can still do this.
But like, my goodness, let me be real. That was not. It was not what I envisioned in my head. I'm like, shoot. Now we're midway through. Got to finish the job.
Is it like sex in the shower? The idea is actually
awful.
better than the actual practice of it.
1,000,000%.
Or
and then you just feel like you accomplished so much after. You're just like, wow, we're good for like a solid week. Let's like ride that one out.
It's like we did that, but to be honest, it wasn't that great in the moment.
The best part is towards the end of your pregnancy, they'll say like, well, you should have sex, like have a lot of sex. And I'm like, for real? Like, how does that work? So yeah, it's been a minute.
How does it work?
Yeah, it's when a man and a woman.
The baby's like, get me out of here.
I know, poor guy.
That is great. All right.
But no, in terms of keeping it spicy, like, it's funny, you evolve as human beings. Like, what would have been like hot and fresh and cool like 4 years ago is now like, let's watch BIP and like, get a little frisky after. Like, it's so exciting. Have some strawberries dipped in chocolate, make some pasta. Like, it's a good night.
So you guys is it safe to say you've grown with each other? You're both different people. That's
absolutely.
Great. I
mean, tremendously different people.
Some people don't. They're afraid of changing, and then one person grows, the other person feels like, well, if you grow, then we're different, and that's not okay. And
I think we've done that, like, kind of like at different levels, but we've always sort of met, and it's always meshed somehow. I don't know. I literally looked at him the other day and was like, I'm just so glad I still like you. Like, that matters so much to me, because that's always been a fear of mine. When you're dating and you're just like, oh, I loved like texting them and I couldn't wait to see them yesterday. And today it's a little different.
Yeah.
He's a good looking guy. I mean, he's hot. So yeah, I get it.
He's good to look
Well, before we let you go, we're going to play our little game. Do you know me?
Yes.
Which I know you are familiar with.
Yes.
So I won't have to explain it to you.
Yeah.
I love it. She listens to our podcast and now she's a guest.
No, I feel like we could talk to you for like 10 more hours.
Oh, I love that.
I want to know about you being an entrepreneur too before we go, because that's really impressive.
That was a whole nother door.
All right. Do you know me? Everyone knows what Do You Know Me is all about. Our fun little game.
I picked out the questions.
Yeah,
Nick's not a creep.
That your friend made. It's on Amazon.
Oh, what? She really listens to the end.
Little questions go a long way. Rochelle did pick out these questions. I don't know what they are. So for those listening, don't judge me. Question number 1. Does Daniela believe in zodiac signs? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she mentioned crystals earlier. So, yeah.
Strong yes.
Okay, can I answer?
Born in LA. Yeah.
She knows her rising and her setting or blah, 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 blah.
Nope, don't follow them at all.
Really? Wow.
Not at all.
No.
In fact, when Gio was born, they were like, oh, did you, wait, he's a Libra? Oh man, I don't even remember now. But they were like,
No,
did
he
you
wouldn't be a
know you
Libra.
like, you, yeah.
What day was he born
The
on?
28th of September.
We have the same birthday.
No!
Me and your child.
Oh my gosh, apparently you guys are like good peeps.
Yeah.
It's like a balance. Everyone says, "Oh my gosh, you're very balanced."
There is a horoscope one on. It's like 4 birthdays. It's specific to the day you were born.
Yeah.
And I gotta say,
It's a good one.
very specific. And I was like, wow.
Wow, I'm
interesting.
gonna have to read.
I'll send it to you.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
please.
We
Wow,
have
this is
we have
good.
we
That's
have the
cool.
we have the same birthday.
I love that. Apparently,
I mean, his
he's
life
gonna
will be pretty good.
kid.
It won't be amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Stop.
Nick.
He'll probably overthink.
If everyone listening could see where Nick's sitting, there's literally the entire
It's
view
good.
of LA behind him,
He'll
and
have-
he's sitting in a throne with like
He'll
a
be-
coffee the size of my head.
He'll have nothing to complain about, but he still will.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's fair. Me too, and that's what perpetuates things forward, right? You got to find a problem with something.
There won't be a reason why he might be miserable at any given moment, but you know what? Sometimes
What's so funny is he grunts on the daily. This kid is 2 weeks old. He cannot speak, but he literally is audible all day long. He's like, ugh, we just die. We're like, what is that? So anyway,
I mean, I can't explain that.
okay.
Can Daniela play an instrument? I don't know this because I did look at some of your YouTubes, but I know you know Ariana Grande, and I know that you were a
She was on the
Nickelodeon.
show with her.
You were a Nickelodeon. So at a minimum, you can sing. That much I know, and I think a voice is a musical instrument. So I'm going to say yes to that regard, and also I'm guessing you can play something.
I'm saying no. I'm saying she did not have time. She was working every minute of her childhood.
She can sing though. Do you agree on there or saying no?
That's not an instrument.
I'm going to still say yes.
I'm going to say she can sing, but she doesn't play an instrument. Okay, what is it?
You guys are both wrong. I can't sing at all.
How'd you get a Nickelodeon? What's kind of special?
You're gonna die. I had to sing for I tested for Hannah Montana, had to sing for that. I don't know how I got that far. Then Victorious came along, had to sing for that. Don't know how I got that far. But then they ended up making my character someone who could not sing.
What was your like special trick? You know, like what was
I
your
don't know.
thing? What was your shtick?
Wooing them with my
Personality.
personality.
Great.
I don't know. I
That's
still
one hell of
don't
a-
know to this day.
That's amazing. Great.
But yeah, no fun talents for me.
It's actually more of a talent to be casted in a Nickelodeon or being a Disney
I know.
without being able to sing is like
Yeah.
The best was signing the record deal, and I knew that I could not offer anything. I would get into the recording studio, and everyone would look at me like, "Oh, poor girl," and I just was like, "This is it."
just a reminder, I didn't pick these questions. Has Daniela ever played strip poker?
Oh, that's a good question.
I feel like, she's in the LA scene. Growing up, a lot of crazy things probably happened. Yes.
That's a great guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to agree with you. She's non-traditional, but she likes the idea of things, especially when she was younger. I think she would have taken great pride in not being the LA girl who plays strip poker.
Okay.
So I'm going to say no.
You are correct.
Is my reasoning correct?
Your reasoning's dead on.
That's why your life's so great now. You didn't blow it all up when you were famous.
I saw a lot of things happening around me. I just was like,
I bet you've seen Titanic, but I bet like you're kind of the person who, had they not, would take great pride in reminding people they've never seen Titanic.
oh, interesting.
You know what I'm saying? That person who
Yeah,
has,
sure.
No, I've never done that.
Yeah, that's pretty much
I'm
me.
different.
No, Nick, don't be so good at things. Oh, yeah.
Anyways. Does Daniela have a GoPro? Interesting. She is an influencer. She's a YouTube star. She has a following. Does she have a GoPro?
Yeah, you got to have a lot of tools in your toolkit
True.
when you're making
Good
videos.
guess. I'm going to say no for the fun of it because it could go either way.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to say no.
It kind of goes either way. I went and bought one and then lent it to someone and never got it back.
See, that's what I would. I mean, I've used a GoPro. I don't have a GoPro.
Yeah.
And I feel like GoPro's more of like she's the surfer adventurous person who's outdoorsy.
Yeah. The
It's
idea.
the person I want to be, but
Right.
Not
it
the
wasn't
person
the
you
person I was.
God, I should have said that. I
Yeah.
could have come up with that.
It's all right, Nick. Next time.
Does Daniela, final question, currently have flight booked somewhere? Oh, I would say normally yes, but she just had a child.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to say no. But typically, I would
feel
say
like she
more
has a flight book for like next summer.
Good question.
Vacation.
That's a good point. I'm thinking for myself who doesn't book flights more than a week in advance, and you definitely are a planner. Ooh. Yeah, no, you changed my mind. I'm going to say...
Like she's got an assistant that's booked a flight for her.
There's
for
a
her
flight.
Future,
Yes, there's a flight booked. Yes. Yeah,
Oh
right.
my gosh, there's almost a flight booked. It's
Almost.
almost
You
there.
should have stuck
the
to your gun.
hotel
Should've.
is booked.
Oh, where at?
Mexico.
Fun.
I
Ooh,
know. It was the one place
When are you
that I
going?
wanted to go my entire pregnancy, and you're not allowed to.
You're not.
Yeah, Zika, right?
Yeah.
Zika.
So it's the first place I want to visit.
Fun.
Yeah.
Did you go on a baby moon?
We did. Yeah. We actually just went local to Palm Springs.
Cute.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We have a few minutes.
Okay.
Let's talk about what you're currently doing now.
Okay.
You being the successful entrepreneur that you are.
Thank
What is
Wow.
that? And,
Well,
let's give us a little insight
I
into
will.
who you are and what you're doing.
Okay. So, I've acted for a long time, and, with some of that money that I made, I wanted to be smart and make ethical choices. And so I invested in a few different companies. The first one was Outstanding Foods, and we came out with pig out chips that are plant-based bacon chips. We're in 1,000 stores nationwide, over 1,000 stores as of now. Yeah. So that one's killing it. It's so delicious.
Ching ching.
Yeah.
What do you mean by plant-based bacon?
So they're actually derived from mushrooms. And,
But
and
why do they call it bacon?
it's because they taste like bacon.
Yum.
And there's no pigs harmed in the making.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then, so that one's been really cool. We've got so many amazing investors involved. We've got Rob Dyrdek and all kinds of incredible, really strategic people.
What are they called again?
They're called Outstanding Foods is the company. And then the chips are pig out chips.
They're called pig out chips.
Yum.
And there's a new chip coming out that are pork rinds that are insane, and they have a ton of protein as well, which I know a lot of people are going to care about, and the flavors are just insane. There's one that's
Have
really
you
spicy.
tried these in Incredible Burger or the
Impossible Burger?
Impossible Burger?
Yeah.
You're a big fan?
You know what? For the longest time, I wasn't into fake meats because I just didn't need them.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I actually really dig the Impossible Burger.
I did a blind taste test.
Yeah.
I'm a big meat eater. I'm just
Okay.
gonna put it
I've heard you before. Yep.
up. I'm feeling judged, but I took a blind taste test. I did guess correctly, but I gotta say it was impressive.
It is, right?
It wasn't like the texture and like it tasted like and even the texture like an incredibly seasoned burger, but I could tell.
You could tell.
But it was still very impressive.
Would you go for it if it was on the menu, or would you go for the alternative animal one?
I would probably disappoint you.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
So
What
yeah,
else?
that was like my first real like dive into investing in a company and then having some success, which was really lucky. And then shortly after that, I invested in a restaurant called Sugar Taco on
I'm
Melrose.
familiar.
Jessica Hall, who was on.
Yeah. It's like a really cool group of just women in the sort of like entrepreneurial but also influencer space that are trying to do good with their name and likeness, and that restaurant's killing it and delicious. If you haven't been, we will hook you up. It's so good. It's right down the street.
We should go.
Yeah.
And that it's vegan.
All
based.
vegan.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome.
Gives me
because-
anxiety.
No, Nick, I'm telling you, it's
I'm
not.
just being
It's
honest.
so good. I have taken many meat eaters
I
that
don't
are
doubt it.
blown
Yeah.
away.
Okay.
I'm not just saying that. And so, I would say that one's like everyone is going to love it. It's a crowd pleaser. And then the one that kind of takes up the most of my time is Kinder Beauty, which is a vegan beauty subscription box, which is a monthly subscription box of all vegan, cruelty-free, clean products for $24 a month. And we give at least 72. We've had boxes that are $160 worth of products. So we curate these luxury boxes and we do it at a discount, because our whole goal, and my whole goal moving forward, is just making a plant-based lifestyle more accessible and trying to make that cost efficient and, easy to access and fun, delicious.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And then finally, I know you still are on YouTube and you have your Instagram presence and you make these videos. Or why would someone want to tune in and check out what you have and learn from some of the things that you're doing?
Thank you. I don't know. I just feel like I'm a real person, and a lot of people have grown up sort of watching me. And even if they haven't, I'm always open to sharing my life experiences. I try to learn from them, and I try to sort of shed light on things as I go. Andrew and I are going to be doing this podcast called Adulting Like a Mother Father. And we're
amazing.
trying to figure out this really awesome new chapter together in our most tired state. So that's going to be interesting. I've never actually worked with Andrew, and so this should be a fun little
Good
shit
luck
show.
with that.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure it'll be fun. And
Thank
that's
you.
coming out in January?
Yeah, actually, no, we're going to be launching in November now.
In November?
Yeah, I guess that's a fun little push that I just found out about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. And then I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, being the giant Bachelor fan that you are, thoughts on Peter as the Bachelor?
Gosh, I wish you didn't ask me that.
Disappointed. No, we expect full honesty and
Sure.
transparency.
Yeah, I don't know, you guys. Sweetest little thing.
Yeah.
Sweetest little doll face.
I don't think it's as sweet in a good way as people think.
I hope so.
Fucks in a window.
Listen, I've always been blown away by choices in the past that I wasn't a complete excited about. So you know what? I'm all for it. I just think I want to know more, and I want him to be.
Hopefully we'll find out
Yeah.
more. Who would have been your choice?
Gosh, I wasn't pulling for anyone. I think at first I thought Mike would have been cool.
But after he's asking out everyone on TV,
yeah.
maybe not so much.
No,
Kiki and all
he's
that.
not.
Oh, but he's a cutie. You know what? Let him have his moment.
Yeah.
Let them all have their moment.
It was a strong moment.
It was a strong moment. And he went for it.
He
I was
really did.
impressed. I love Kiki, by the way. I think she's a doll. I think they
she's-
should, you know what?
she's
Go on a date.
Yeah, but maybe ask her.
I'll swear.
He said he was just kidding around.
That's what you say when
I'm
they
totally
don't respond.
joking. Unless you want to, then I'm dead serious.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm down. Let's watch. It'll be fun.
Yes, I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been a lot of fun. Very interesting. Best of luck to you and your family and your ongoing endeavors and your podcast coming up. It sounds like a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Where can people just find you specifically?
Yeah, my name, Daniella Monet, on pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, Instagram mostly is where I spend more of my time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. It's been a ton of fun. Once again, best of luck. Listeners, as always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Don't forget to send us in your questions for Monday's Ask Nick at AskNick@CastMedia.com.
And give him 5 stars.
Yes. Thank
Wow,
you.
she's a real listener.
A real stan.
Yeah.
Wow. I really
I'm
appreciate it.
impressed.
Give us 5 stars because Daniela said so, not
Not
because I
'cause- come
pandered and begged for your validation. It's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, good time.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great day. We will see you on Monday.